Are any changes needed in science study approach in school? I would like to say yes in one particular area, which would be a considering or alternative point of views of the science study, because for example, like global warming, it is a well-known fact that the improper way of trashing by a human being kind of caused that issue, and the waste of energy, like overusing like air conditioners and so on, caused that problem. It's sort of like a big fact of like that everybody knows, but there are still some people who are studying hard in that area, suggesting different ideas, which is like this is like a natural kind of temperature climate change based on the climate history of the earth that we're living in. Like it was changing every so often, and I think it's important for the students to know there are other options, and it's sort of important for them to know that which ideas are the most supported, but at least they need to given the opportunity to think about other perspectives as well. So if anything needs to be changed, I think they need to introduce introduce the alternative ideas, as opposed to showing one idea that looks like a fact, but sometimes they get it wrong, right? In science, it's always it's based on proving the documents and so on, so you never know. So it's not like, even though like people say it's a fact, if there are stronger argument with stronger supporting ideas, it could be flipped over in a day. So because of that, a little bit of instability of science, I think it's important for students to know that there are other suggestions.
Okay, so whenever you speak, the examiner should be excited, or if not excited, at least feeling positive about stuff. So no, I'm not gonna say that global warming is a wrong idea. It's fine. I'm talking more about the tone. The tone is very, let me put it bluntly, it's very depressing. So when I listen to this, it feels like the world needs change, and it's not going in the right direction. It's imagine this. I'm gonna tell, because as an English teacher and as a person who listens to examiners constantly, imagine the examiner listening to 100 speaking reviews, and they keep hearing the same answer over and over again, and then you also give this answer where it's just monotone. There's no expressions. There are no feelings. No need for humor. But just the change of volume itself is good enough to make it interesting. So I'm gonna do an answer for you here and show you what I mean by the tone. The other thing is, don't focus on global warming too much. Don't focus on the fact that, okay, climate changes happen sometimes naturally, it's nothing to be worried about, and how global warming works. That's not the point. The point is what should be changed in the curriculum of schools. So we only want to focus on that. Other than that, don't say trashing. People are trashing. People are littering. That's the right word to use. And in the start as well, this is what I felt from the start. From the start, I felt very like I wasn't in the mood to listen to it, because you didn't put me in a mood to listen. Because you started with something like global warming, or I think you talked about students or something, but it started with like okay, with a breath, with a sigh. It doesn't sound like, okay, we're today interested in this exam. It feels like we're being pushed into this exam. So start with something like, wow, this is a very amazing topic, and I feel great to express my views on this. My view today is this. All right, that makes it interesting. Do that kind of stuff. So I'm going to talk about this one. Let's say the question is, should children's curriculum be changed? It surely is an interesting topic to discuss if the curriculum of students needs any change in today's world, and I feel that it does. For example, when we consider a simple thing like global warming, where some scientists feel that the world is just changing naturally and it'll get back on track, whereas others feel that it's going towards doom, we should be explaining both these points of view in the classes or in the books. Instead of just sticking to one side, we should diversify our thoughts in schools and classes so that students get a chance to learn multiple views and come at their own judgment, arrive at their own hypothesis. Secondly, I feel if schools try to teach things which are more relevant in life, let's say not talk about global warming, let's say we stop talking about even history, and instead we divert our attention and focus into fields of economics, into fields of engineering, which are actually applicable in the true world, then I feel we're going in the right direction and our students would be learning something more positive. Okay, if you notice here, what I'm doing is I'm trying to exaggerate a lot and I'm trying to overact. This is not how I talk, and I know this is not how you talk. But I'll tell you something, if you go to banks, if you go to car dealerships, and if you hear a call center representative who's a salesperson, they talk like this. Why? Because they are faking it. And they're faking it because they want to give you an interesting customer service experience. You gotta fake it here because you are giving the examiner an interesting customer service experience. So that's the way it goes. All right, let's go to the next question.
What kind of changes happened to science recently? I think there was what I recently found out is, I don't know how recent it is, but it's sort of recent that not many people know about this, but I'm very interested in dinosaurs and their evolution pathways, kind of like looking into fossils and sort of things. But what they found out lately is that back in the days, dinosaurs, like, they are the ancestor of like the modern reptiles right now, but they're not they didn't look exactly like the modern reptiles that we live with right now. So for example, like, people say, like, people look at for example, like crocodiles, and like, hey, like, back in the days, like, that has the exact shape of dinosaur, but they just like smaller, and maybe they have like, less weaker legs, I think, because dinosaurs used to walk. But however, and that's why they came up with all these like dinosaur figures in the movies. For example, like Jurassic Park, they just look, there's no hair, it's just like a reptile, like a regular, they got regular reptile figures, whereas in recently people found out that the birds are closer to dinosaurs than the dinosaur, like they are the direct descendants of the dinosaur species. So basically, reptiles they're branched out of the whole dinosaur evolutionary. On the other hand, the birds were they just the continuous of the dinosaur livings. In other words, they're actually dinosaurs right now. Like, we're looking at dinosaurs every day. We go to, for example, like Finch Station, there are tons of pigeons, and they're like actually dinosaurs. If you look at their feet, it looks like it's like those from raptors. And when I remember one time, like, I was like chased by this Canada goose, and I was like, holy, that's like a real dinosaur just like running towards me. Like they got the same vibe. And I think that's that they have like really well proven documents, and if you look into it, like, it's very interesting that dinosaurs are not like crocodiles or alligators. They're more like chickens and geese.
All right. Okay, interesting answer. Once again, this is something that grabbed my attention because it's an interesting topic, not a boring one to say. So it's good that you mention interesting topics like this. All right. You said and you said like a lot. Don't do that. They are filler words. Like, they're the worst things to say. So don't say that. All right. You said they are branched out of the whole dinosaur's evolution. Maybe you wanted to say here they're branched out. Well, I'm not sure what you wanted to say here. See, if you are saying that they are another branch of dinosaurs, you would simply say they are another branch of dinosaurs. That's it. You wouldn't even need to say evolution there. If you're saying they're not part of dinosaurs, that's it. They're not part of dinosaurs. Or they are not a part of the evolutionary stages of a dinosaur, if you really want to use the word evolution there. Okay, I know Canada Goose is a brand, but that's not how you want to talk about the goose. You want to say Canadian goose. Okay, I was chased by a Canadian goose, or a goose in Canada. Okay, that's how you would relate to an animal. You wouldn't say a Canada elephant, right? You would say a Canadian elephant. So I know it's the brand talking. but yeah, the answer was good. It was interesting. And it could have been much better if you said furthermore, likewise, moreover. Again, more connecting words would help it out.
Who can understand science better, boys or girls? Well, this isn't very like a fair assumption to make, but if I were forced to say, then it will be my answer will be boys. First of all, science is it only works with logics. So for example, when you're like writing scientific paper and then you say something which is like your opinion, like going back to that dinosaur story, like if I were to insist or claim that like dinosaurs are closer to birds, and I would need to provide strong supporting ideas or supporting documents to prove what I'm saying is based on facts, and that needs the citations and the convenient access to the documents, which is like basically the online address or the exact citation of which line of which book that you're using from which author and what's the book title and which paragraph are you quoting this from. The reason why I'm saying this is, in general, people kind of sort of identify male gender has more logical thinking and the female are based on emotional elements, which is not wrong. They have their own strong criteria, but male they have the logical criteria for themselves, and that's sort of why I think it is kind of like a male thing, if I have to say that it's they can understand it better. Sometimes because for example, like sometimes there are tendencies, like girls are known to have tendencies where they make statements not based on facts, but they make statements based on their feelings, which is still very valuable, but it's not necessarily scientific. And so that's the reason why I would say it's the answer would be boys.
The point about girls being emotional, guys being logical, you want to relate it with science. Even the last point that I don't remember what it was. My memory is bad, really. But even the last point, it didn't relate with science. Okay, you wanna focus on the difference in gender that helps or doesn't help with science. So maybe you can say that with let's say with science you need a lot of experimentation and you need a lot of trials and errors, and we can see that girls are emotional, and if the trials or experiments don't work as they expect them to work, maybe they have a higher chance of giving up quicker than boys. That's how you relate emotion in science and show that it's a weakness. The other thing was, if you notice what I'm saying here is I'm saying maybe, perhaps, or I'm not being direct in saying that girls are emotional and guys are more logical, because we want to avoid that as well. We want to say it's believed, it's claimed, it's assumed, maybe, perhaps, because we don't want to criticize the other gender. And another thing, as I mentioned on my previous recording, you want to be modest here. You don't want to say good stuff about yourself. You want to say bad stuff about yourself. That's how you're humble. And if you're a guy, you always want to say that no, the girl is better. If you're a girl, you would say the guy is better in science. So favor the other gender always. No need to say, there was this part where you were saying they should focus on which book title, which author, etc. Just say literature. They should focus on the literature, right? We don't need a list. We don't need a list like, okay, we should buy milk, cheese, butter, those things. You should just say we should buy dairy products. Okay, a list is never good, but the list of concepts, that's good. Okay, you said female are, it should be females are, just like males, so keep it plural.
Do you think that girls are getting better grades than boys nowadays? This is also not a very an easy question, but I would have to say no. It doesn't necessarily mean that boys are getting better grades, but at the same time, girls are not getting better grades than boys either, because it depends on which program they're enrolled in, or the class they're attending, and all this sort of stuff. Why is that? Okay, so to explain that, it to explain why it depends on the program and so on. Like, I would have to make an example out of my own experience, which is the college I went to. I was taking music program. It was for music and audio and so on, anything to do with music production in general. It was it was like about 65% male and the rest was female, and basically it was like male heavy. And the thing is, like, the program basically included music production, recording engineering, music publishing, music business, artist management and musical theory, and computer technique, basically on your softwares. So what I observed is that anything that's related to like technicality or recording audio, performance, it could depend, but the program wasn't really looking for singers or piano players and so on, and also, like, it wasn't looking for performers in general. But if you perform better, then you get to play play your instrument in other students' assignment a lot. So performance, I would actually say, didn't really matter. But so technicality, music recording, and productions, basically these three were those classes were ruled by the boy students, because they're really into the music itself, and it wasn't really like what they were doing on computer, and understanding the physics of audio, acoustic, and all this stuff. That's basically where they found interesting in terms of the whole program. On the other hand, we had music business, artist management, and publishing and all, like more on the business side, to understand how the money works, how the music works with the listeners, and how we should brand the artists and everything. It was heavily led by the female students, and they that was the reason why those classes were the reasons why they applied for this program. So that's why they weren't really doing well in the production classes, but it didn't really matter to them because their focus was in the on the other criterias. So that's why I'm saying that it's really hard to judge or to say anything for sure, because it really depends on what they're looking for, and if the class or the subject is more interested by female students, then yes, they're gonna do great there, because boys wouldn't care, and vice versa. Like for music productions, I found a lot of female students didn't care about the computer work either. So that would be my answer for this question.
Alright, so see the ending? So that will be my answer for this question. Once again, I think in the previous recording I mentioned the best way to finish this is by saying, that's all that I have for you today. Or that, thank you. Or that's all for this answer. Alright? You don't want to say what you said. The one reason for that is how it sounds that you're not sure. Okay? You're like, so that is going to be my answer. The word so is a killer. Don't say so. Say therefore or hence. They're good connecting words. If you would have said the same thing, maybe you say, therefore, that would be my answer, or that would be my conclusion. And see my tone. Therefore, that would be my answer. This tone and the word therefore combined make it a confident finish. Last impressions matter. So don't take the last few words lightly. The other thing that really messed up this answer, unfortunately, was your focus on programs. You know, the computer science, programming, whatever. All of that got a lot of attention. It's not the point. The point is girls and boys. Yes, you will have to give examples. You will have to see computer programs and whatever you did, but you gotta keep the attention on girls and boys. Keep the attention on their mindsets, on their activities, their habits. Don't ever go into so much detail about the example. Example is called an example because it supports the main answer, but the main answer remains main. Okay? Try not to say like. Try not to say and the rest was, because and the rest were is correct. Of course, you're talking about the multiple people here. You said they apply for this program because they wanted to. So you see, it's in the past tense. They applied for this program. You said the subject is more interested by females. It's not more interested by females. It's more interesting for females, if it's interesting. Okay, that's all. Once again, keep up the vocabulary work. Make sure you don't say you know, like, and make sure you don't say and. Try to say furthermore, likewise, etc. Try also to make sure the answer is related to the question, and I think in the whole recording, the most important thing was to focus on the tone. Fluctuate your volume so you make it interesting for the examiner. If you play this whole recording again, you would realize that it's all said in one tone. It's not interesting, it's not fun to listen to. So you got to make it fun for the examiner, you got to give them a positive experience so they give you a positive mark. Okay, good luck.